got a blind date with destiny. It looks like she just ordered the lobster. Get ready for science. SciFriday on Skywatch TV. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining us, the Skywatch TV science editor, my best friend, my wife, Sharon K. Gilbert.
Hi, honey. Mystery Man, right?
Yes.
Let's go get us our Herkimer battle jitney.
Battle jitney, yes, the finest non-lethal military vehicle ever invented. Not
Been a whole
necessarily,
week.
yes. And boy, there's a lot of stuff coming out over the past week. We've had a number of viewers who've sent us email regarding a story that we need to touch on. The scientists who think they can reverse death.
Yeah, you know, I've seen that at just about every online newspaper out there, the major ones, and depending upon which one it is, the headline has variations.
Well,
oftentimes it's resurrectionists or zombies or...
Yeah, and I think maybe taking a step back there, I think that that's a lesson in how to interpret these articles when they're published, because most reporters who are trying to summarize these stories don't really have a firm grasp of the science involved, and so they may be looking for a catchy headline that doesn't really say what the scientists are trying to say.
Or after they've written their piece, the editor comes along and says that headline is not sexy enough.
We need to punch it up.
We need to punch it up, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all too often the case whenever these things happen. But you're right. Someone who writes a science piece at a newspaper doesn't necessarily understand the science. And it's not always that easy to grasp exactly what these new companies are planning on doing, because the truth is that when a new company comes along, they want investors.
Yes.
So they're going to put out the sexiest sort of PR that they can to get people to buy into them and to help support them. There's a company that is claiming that they're going to take 20 volunteers, 20 families who have a loved one who is in a vegetative state. They have brain stem death. The brain stem controls your breathing and the autonomic systems with heartbeat, things like that, that keep you alive when you need to be alive. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the brain is intact. So these are people who are being kept alive with machines, essentially. And you know what? I've got people in my family who have had brain injury, and it's a devastating thing to happen, because even if you completely or you seem to have completely healed, the truth is that your brain probably will never be 100% the same again, because many things can go wrong. As the Brain Initiative and the Brain Institute, things like that, they are discovering these things about the way the mind really works. It's very complicated. But this company wants to take stem cells and peptide, which are very short pieces of proteins, and they want to also take lasers, and they want to try using these techniques and perhaps others to try to reboot the brainstem so that the person can now essentially go off the machines. But whether or not that person will be really engaged is another question. But spiritually speaking, and this is what I said to you this morning, you have to ask yourself, is the person home? Is anyone in there?
That's a really good point. And of course, that's an aspect of this research that they're not going to touch and you're not going to see in the mainstream media. If the person is dead in all but name, and that the only thing keeping them alive are the artificial machines that are pumping the blood, or keeping the blood pumping artificially, and the blood oxygenated artificially, where is that person's spirit? Where is that person's soul? Jesus told a parable about somebody who drives someone out of their home, the strong man out of their home, and then sweeps it and puts it in order. But this spirit will go out and wander through the desert places, come back with 7 more worse than itself, and finding the house swept and put in order will then take up residence there. Is this then a fit extension if this person is reanimated with the spirit already gone?
If that's what has happened.
If that's what's happened.
I would say so. Yes, I think that if you can keep a body going and the spirit, the soul, the actual person is gone, then that is an empty house. And demons, demons are the spirits of the interbreeding that took place in Genesis 6 and probably after. when they lost their physical homes, their bodies, they crave that body. So they will take over any body that they can. And I don't think that they just do this willy-nilly. I think generally you have to do something in order to invite them in, open a door of some kind that essentially says, come on in, nobody's home. But yeah, this could be a problem. But one of the articles that I read, and I think this is really a problem with ethics, is that if somebody no longer needs to have a machine breathe for him or her, then it could mean that that person's body could be used, say, to gestate a child. Now, if a woman is already pregnant, she's in an auto accident, I think that's wonderful. I think if she's still in there, and if the child's still viable, if you can find a way to help that child to reach maturity and then be born, I'm all for that. But there, and again, this is science fiction. I've seen a number of science fiction stories, but often science fiction is a prescient look at what becomes science fact. This idea of having rows and rows of gestators, just essentially living wombs that do nothing but clone babies.
Right, so that women don't have to be, and men to a certain extent, a much lesser extent, of course, but so that the parents don't have to be bothered with the physical limitations, the physical imposition of having to gestate a child.
Yes,
you just show up and buy your child and take it home, and there you go.
Yeah.
Or you pay one of these unconscious breeders to just gestate the child for you, so you don't have to do it. The other aspect of this, as we see stories from around the world of black markets for human organs, there was a story last week that the Islamic State, because of the economic pressure put on it when Russia and the United States finally, after 14 months, started bombing their black market oil convoys, in order to make up their budget shortfalls, are actually killing their wounded soldiers so they can sell off their organs.
Well, there was a really popular novel that was made into a book back in the 70s, 60s, I think, 60s or 70s, by Robin Cook, called Coma, and it was all about that. It was the intentional essentially killing people who went in, had all of the things that you needed. Okay, this person has everything I need for, this person on my list, and I can really sell these. They're nice and young. So this person goes in, and the family says, yes, we know there's always something that can go wrong. And the gases were switched in the operating theater so that the person went into a coma. And of course, the Geneviève Bujold, who was the young doctor who figures out what's going on, she finds all of these beings who are hanging from the ceiling, being kept alive just so their organs could be used. Now, this is a horror story, but it is, as you say, being done in other countries. So what sort of hubris do we Americans have to think that it's never
that it couldn't
done
happen here? Yeah. The ultimate goal of the research, according to the lead researcher, Dr. Ira Pastor, is to eventually, and these are his words, the eventual reversal of death in our lifetime. Reversing death is the ultimate goal.
Right now, the legal definition of death is the cessation of neurological activity. So if by that he means reboot the brain, then again, if no one's in there, you may think you've just reversed death, Dr. Frankenstein, but that's not the person who originally inhabited that body in there anymore.
That's possible, very possible.
Yeah.
And this is, again, the subject of horror and science fiction going back for 100 years. H.P. Lovecraft wrote a story back in the 20s called Herbert West Reanimator, which was turned into a low-budget horror film starring Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, yeah. Well, Frankenstein was 200 years ago.
Exactly. The reanimation of dead tissue. This has been the goal of
transhumanists.
Transhumanists, right, because this was one of the original goals of the Russian cosmists who blended Eastern Orthodox mysticism with this sort of science fiction worldview, and believed that ultimately mankind would reanimate the dead. In other words, they want to artificially do what God is already going to do. There's coming a day when we will be resurrected into new bodies. As the Apostle Paul put it, this is just the kernel. This is like the dead husk that will eventually give way to something new that will not corrupt.
But that's what the enemy does. The enemy imitates what the Lord God Almighty does originally. And so an imitation of the eternal life in brand new bodies is here on earth in augmented or altered bodies.
Yeah. Humanity has been seeking the secret of eternal life for a long time. And the irony of this, the hubris of it is, first of all, is jaw-dropping, because it's attempting to use science to achieve what Lucifer promised in the garden, ye shall be as gods. But secondly, in a way it's tragic, because we already have that promise in front of us.
Yeah.
We know we've already got it from the creator of the universe. Why are we trying to create a cheap imitation?
Well, you and I aren't, of course,
Right.
but there are folks out there that just dismiss God as not being either he doesn't exist at all, or if he does exist, he was the divine watchmaker who made the world, set it in motion like a clockwork mouse, and then went away. If that's how you view God, then you see yourself as the new God to replace him, because he's gone. You're the steward, but not in the way Jesus Christ talks about the church as a steward. This is sort of, okay, I'm the new God in town. I'm the sheriff, and I'm going to figure out how this works, how the clockwork works, and I'm going to tinker with it and make it better, because it's running down, and I've got to fix it.
Well, again, the hubris of humanity.
Yeah.
And even though science fiction often explores the consequences of such hubris, we never seem to learn. That's why we talk about what we do on SciFriday. Science is a wonderful tool for understanding God's creation, but can also be a tool to try to fulfill the enemy's promises. More of SciFriday continues as SciFriday continues right after this.
Coming exclusively from Skywatch TV for a very limited time starting May 31st, 2016. When you purchase the new book and final report from Tom Horn and Chris Putnam, The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade, you'll receive the largest giveaway of 2016, an unprecedented value of over $200 in free books, DVDs, audio files, and a data DVD library with tens of thousands of pages of ancient literature no longer available, as well as movies, WikiLeaks files the government does not want you to see, and more for your library or to give away as gifts. Included in this biggest giveaway of 2016 are Chris Putnam's full-length DVD presentation, Astrobiology and the Vatican ET Connection, the new 5-part Skywatch TV special investigative report on the book, The Final Roman Emperor, plus 2 mystery books with a $40 value, and a data DVD library with thousands of pages of ancient literature, movies, and audio series for your library or to give away as gifts. And for the first several thousand customers while supplies last, you'll also receive Satan's Dirty Little Secret, the 2 demon spirits that all demons get their strength from. Satan, You Can't Have My Promises, the spiritual warfare guide to reclaim what's yours. What Happens When I Die, true stories of the afterlife and what they tell us about eternity. Becoming a Prayer Warrior, a guide to effective and powerful prayer. An unprecedented value of over $200 in never-before-offered free products. And the biggest giveaway of 2016, yours absolutely free when you purchase The Final Roman Emperor from SkywatchTV.com for only $19.95 plus shipping, beginning May 31st. But be advised, this astonishing promotion is limited to first come, first serve while supplies last. So it's urgent, beginning May 31st, 2016. You place your order for the final book and biggest prediction yet in this 4-year investigation by internationally acclaimed best-selling authors Tom Horn and Chris Putnam. The Final Roman Emperor, the Islamic Antichrist, and the Vatican's Last Crusade for only $19.95 plus shipping. This offer is on a limited time basis and will end without notification. So be sure to visit skywatchtv.com to follow the updates in the countdown to the biggest giveaway of 2016. Order the new book by Tom Horn and Chris Putnam on May 31st to receive the unprecedented value of over $200 while supplies last. Free products limited to quantity on hand and may be replaced by products of equal value.
This is SciFriday on Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert along with Sharon Gilbert. And it seems like every week it's like, how do we prioritize the stories?
Well, there's no way. I do want to talk about quickly a story that is linked with the one that we talked about before the break, and that is this idea of eternal youth. There was a gene that was recently discovered, and I put that in air quotes because with so many interactions within the cell, you never know for sure if it's that particular gene that's responsible for it. But big story today is that scientists have discovered the youth gene.
Oh, really?
Here's what keeps people looking young and other people not looking young. If you've got that gene, then, and when these genes are discovered, I mean, truthfully, if you were someone who depended upon looking young, say you're an actor.
Sure, yeah.
And you need to look young, and you've tried everything else. If someone came along and said, I can use CRISPR-Cas9 to fix that gene, wouldn't you do it?
Well, yeah, if you're
Yeah.
career dependent on
Yeah.
looking young. We always seem to be surprised when we see an actor or an actress that we've been fan of, whose career we followed for years, and somehow we are always surprised when we see their latest works, like, oh, wow, that she doesn't look anything like what she did. They're supposed to remain eternally young in our eyes. It's a lot of pressure for someone in that career.
It's tremendous pressure, and I can relate to it a little bit because I was in theater and all that for a long time, but I'm glad I'm doing this now. Because it's when we sit here and yes, we dress up and stuff like that for the cameras, but the truth is that it's the content that matters.
Right, absolutely.
Not the exterior, it's the
Right.
content.
Yeah. I'm not having anything nipped or tucked.
I hope not.
But that pressure is even through the culture, is really intense on women especially, to maintain their youthful looks, youthful figure, ignoring the fact that just physiologically you're not the same at 50 as you were at 25.
You're not the same at 30 as you were at 20. I mean, a lot happens in those 20-something
Right.
years that alters you a great deal. Look at a flower, how pretty it is, a rose when it's, just now budding and then it starts to open. It's so beautiful. And then at one point, it's a different appearance and there's a different beauty to every stage of a rose, but eventually it dies
Right.
and those petals all drop off. That we all are going to die. These are mortal bodies.
Right, and that's, as Paul wrote, nothing more ultimately than the dead husk from which the immortal will emerge.
Exactly.
So it's a wonderful picture in 1 Corinthians 15, where that's probably my favorite chapter in the entire New Testament.
Yeah.
One of them anyway. But there are people who will follow this research and will be willing to spend an awful lot of money
Yes.
in order to try to...
And lots of biological machines are being created in order to achieve the synthetic biology that is the dream not only of those who want to be younger looking and live longer, but of transhumanists who
Yes.
actually want to refashion the body that God made. There's a story that came out today, and it's all about ant machines. Not
Ant
Ant-Man.
machines, okay.
Well, ant actually is an acronym for, let's see if I can find it in here. These things are often buried in the story. The actuating nanotransducer. And I think they named it that because they wanted the ant acronym,
Right.
because this is a little machine that is sort of like an engine. What it does is it absorbs water at lower temperatures, and then when it warms up, it releases them, and it causes it to move. So it's a way to propel a nano machine within the body. The Lord already created all those things. The things roam around your body
Yeah.
because they need to go from here to there.
Right.
And he designed all of that already. So these are imitations of his machines. It's based on nano gold. It's the gold standard. But they wanted ANT as the acronym, I believe, because this is something that has 100 times the strength of any other device, biological or otherwise, its size.
And I see that in a related story, they're talking about using nanoparticles, again, to benefit us in a cosmetic way, to go into the body and crush fat particles.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
could possibly go wrong with that?
I don't know. I don't know. Good grief. I mean, this idea that, and
It's
there's
like
another story that says fat adipose may actually be communicable. Yes,
What?
there
Obesity is transmissible like a disease?
there are folks who would read that story and seriously, well, I'm not hanging out with those fat people in class anymore.
Oh.
I mean, that could really be taken
Yeah,
way
I
too
hadn't even
far.
thought about that.
But this story is about a research team that took skinny mice and fat mice, and they were trying to figure out if bacteria, if flora within the body have anything to do with various disease states. And so they transferred the bacteria that were in the stomachs of mice who were fat, put it into the skinny mice, and the skinny mice gained weight.
Oh, well,
They did it the other way. They transferred skinny mice flora to fat mice, and they lost 10% of their body weight. So it's possible. Here's the thing. The story ends with, there may be a pharmaceutical application. If you can somehow package the nice flora that keeps you skinny and put it into a pill.
yeah. Well, because that's what we all want, is a way to lose weight.
Who doesn't want to take bacteria every morning?
Yeah, well, it's as long as it doesn't involve exercise, I think people will buy it. That's the problem.
The problem here is that there's no way to know at this point if, it's chicken and egg. Was the bad flora there because of the way they ate?
Right.
Or was the bad flora what influenced them to eat differently and have different cravings in their body?
Or process.
Or process it differently.
Right.
They don't know yet. So don't jump to a conclusion. Don't stop hanging out with your friends who maybe aren't as skinny as you are. Let's all get along. I mean, show love to the folks around you. The Lord God Almighty loves everybody so much that he died for every one of us. We're here to learn, and we're here to help others to learn about God. And if we're not doing our jobs, there may come a day where he says, look, I can see everything you're going to do in the future, and at this point on, you're just going to become a hindrance. So come on home.
That's a good point. Well, what else? We got about 3 or 4 minutes left here. There was a story that...
We could talk about Illinois.
Well, we could. Illinois has got all kinds of issues going on right now. I feel badly for the friends that we left behind in the state of Illinois there. Oh, I saw that, yeah. The state has got all kinds of issues financially. Yet they found extra money in the budget in Geneva. That's one of the southwest Chicago suburbs, I believe. Somebody's going to correct me on that. I should know. I grew up in Chicago. I thought the world ended at Joliet, so I'm still learning. But they've installed in the Geneva, Illinois school district a thumbprint scanner in the school's lunch line. Now, I understand they want to make sure that they're controlling costs and only handing out school lunches to kids who paid for them, but still there are issues with taking the fingerprints and biometric data from all of those students.
Yeah, how secure is that data?
Well, not very. As we talked before on a previous program about all of the Chromebooks that Google has managed to get into schools, and they found now that because of the way laws are written, there are no privacy protections for parents to tell the school district, I don't want Google tracking my students' my child's search history or passwords or anything like that. It's protected because it's considered school property. I wonder if this type of information would be protected in a similar way.
Well, probably not. It's not that hard. I mean, you were telling me just the other day, was it the NSA that got hacked all over and over again? I mean, our own government computers get hacked constantly. So if you think your school's computers and the company that is probably in charge of this data, the biometric scanner, they probably host some of this. This is subject to, theft. And someone who wants to come along and either steal your child's thumbprint and use it to gain access to other things, or to replace the thumbprint with his or her own and therefore steal the identity entirely. Biometric data is data that can be stolen.
Right, and that's why I have a problem with the federal government keeping all of our medical and whatever other type of genetic records on file.
By the way, Great Britain just told Google that they could access the medical records over there.
Well, what could possibly go wrong?
For research reasons, for their AI, for research reasons.
There were a couple of things I wanted to touch on very quickly now that we've gotten onto tech. One being that the federal government has issued a warning that anyone who's running a Windows computer, laptop, PC, whatever, and has Apple's QuickTime video player installed should delete it. Apple has not been updating QuickTime for Windows for probably the last 5 or 6 years, even though there are a couple of well-known security exploits that could allow a hacker to take over the computer.
They've been around for a while, though.
Right. And that's it. But Apple has not corrected those and is not inclined to correct those, just like Windows or Microsoft's not updating Internet Explorer for the Mac.
Yeah.
If you've got QuickTime on a Windows machine, just delete it. There are other programs that are more secure that you can use to run the same type of video programs. But I found, somebody emailed this to me yesterday. In fact, I'm trying to find the story really quickly. But
You
apparently
find
a
out,
hacker...
I want to say one thing really quickly.
Okay.
You go ahead and look for that. And that is that if you have frozen foods in your freezer and you're from the American Northwest, you might want to take a look. There's a story that we will be happy to link you to if you want to send us a note. But take a look, just look through Google News for listeria, Listeria. There is a listeria problem in a lot of frozen foods. And they could be, it does not die in your freezer and fridge.
Okay, good to know. The other story, which I was emailed last night, a hacker who calls himself the Collector is bragging around the internet that he has managed to steal 273 million passwords from Google, Gmail, Microsoft Outlook or Hotmail, and Yahoo Mail accounts. So if you have a Gmail account, a Hotmail account, a Live.com account, an Outlook.com account, or a Yahoo.com email account, you probably should change your password
I agree
right
with that.
now.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I saw was that supposedly he was holding it for ransom for like $1.
For $1?
Yeah.
Yeah. According to cybersecurity experts, so this story is legitimate, cybersecurity experts estimate that the Collector has 1.7 billion email account passwords in his or her possession. So again, if you use webmail, and almost everyone here at the office does, change your password. I changed all my passwords last night.
Yep, going to change mine when I get home.
Well, please send us those tips because we can't always catch everything. SciFriday at skywatchtv.com. And of course, you'll find us on Facebook. The address is right here.
SciFriday at skywatchtv.com
Right.
and Facebook, all those things. Well, you know what? We're really appreciated. And if you've got any suspenders, send them in. Poor Derek. He's running out.
Yeah, just down to basic black for stuff that matches. I have interesting color tastes. Well, we thank you for watching as we keep watch. For Sharon Gilbert, I'm Derek Gilbert. Have a blessed weekend. This is Skywatch TV. Save nearly half off the cover price when you subscribe now to the brand new Skywatch TV magazine. For a limited time from April 24th through June 24th, 60 days only, a 5-year subscription to Skywatch TV magazine is just $99. That's more than $75 off the cover price, which is like getting 2 years for free. Exclusive content, articles on prophecy, discovery, and the supernatural from Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, Josh Peck, science updates from Sharon K. Gilbert, geopolitics from yours truly, and guest writers like Pulitzer Prize-nominated journalist Troy Anderson, renowned Bible scholar Dr. Michael Heiser, Pentagon advisor Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, and more. But there is more. As an early subscriber, you'll be the first to get this new book from Defender Publishing. I predict what 12 global experts believe you'll see by 2025. This is a $20 value and includes best-selling authors like Joel Richardson, Mark Biltz, Carl Gallups, Tom Horn, Paul McGuire, and more. Find out what they think about the coming war between ISIS and the Vatican, the future of the Temple Mount and the Ark of the Covenant, a worldwide manifestation of angels, and the coming age of human hybrids. And we'll also add this DVD, The Best of Skywatch TV 2015, a $25 value, including our most compelling interviews from last year, including Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, the discussion of the Georgia Guidestones with Chris Pinto, and more. All of this together worth more than $200, yours now for just $99, but only through June 24th. Subscribe now, Skywatch TV Magazine. Call the number on your screen or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.